Hello everyone and welcome back to another top 5 video. This month we are going to look at the Manufacturer Series, one of my favourite championships of course. Lots of different manufacturers compete in it, lots of different cars are on the grid, especially when we look at the top 16 superstars and also the top 24 superstars, where each manufacturer is limited to 2 cars on the grid. Looks good, feels good, is absolutely fantastic with lots of strengths and weaknesses in each of the individual cars. But who's missing? Who is missing from this championship? That's what this video is all about. So I'm about to give you my top 5 list of manufacturers that I would like to see in the championship. Lots to choose from out there, but I've gone for cars which at least exist in one of the categories, potentially exist in both, that I would like to see in the game and involved in this Manufacturer Series.
Number 5.
In at number 5, it's Maserati. Now, Maserati is already in the game, so in theory, it should be nice just to be able to get another Group 3 and another Group 4 car in. Now, the car that's actually in the game is only one car for Maserati. It's the Gran Turismo S. Now, the GT3 and GT4 car I'm recommending to get in the game, or I'd like to see in the game at least, is actually based off this. It's the Gran Turismo MC. And both the GT3 car and GT4 car exist in the real world. You know, it's a car PD could go and model and get in the game. Now, of course, the GT3 car would have huge wing on the back. It would be really wide-bodied. And it has actually had bot tests before for Blancpain and such. GT4 car been in many championships as well. A lot more, it looks a lot more like the road car. And again, just smaller wing on the back, of course. No wide body kits, as GT4 class is. Now, the interesting thing with the Maserati Gran Turismo is it actually is a front mid-engine car. So the engine is behind the front axle, which means it'll be very similar to the AMG. Now, would it be as competitive? Who knows? But it's certainly a manufacturer I'd like to see, the Manufacturer Series. Is it one you'd like to see? Let me know. But that is my number 5.
Number 4.
In at number 4, it's TVR. Now, TVR is already in the game as well. So 2 manufacturers already in the game. This time they're in with the TVR Tuscan. And TVR is featured in numerous Gran Turismos, with the Cerbera featuring, the Griffith, of course, from Gran Turismo 1. It's a very, very prominent brand that's been in Gran Turismo throughout. So why not get them involved in the Manufacturer Series? They're obviously trying the resurgence at the moment down in Wales with the new Griffith. But let's look at what Group 3 and Group 4 cars they potentially could use. In Group 3, we have the Sagaris GT3, an actual race car that did race in the UK prominently. It looks very nice, this car. Looks very beefed up, and I think it would actually suit the GT3 class quite well. Now, in terms of Group 4 car, I'm looking towards a more Vision Gran Turismo car, but the TVR Tuscan T400R, I think that would be suited towards that Group 4 class there. Both cars, GT3 and GT4, front-engined, rear-wheel drive. I think it would be a bloody good manufacturer to get into the FIA Manufacturer Series.
Number 3.
In at number 3, it's Ginetta. Now, Ginetta are a huge racing manufacturer. They race in all sorts of categories around the world. Whether it's LMP1, LMP2, LMP3, they've been absolutely everywhere. But we're mainly interested in Group 3 and Group 4. Now, they have a car which actually fits into both categories this time. A G55. Now, the GT3 variation actually has a V8, a 4.3 litre V8, and of course it will have a lot more aero on the car. There is a GT4 variation, which is a 3.7 litre V6, and simply put, they could just model one car, get the aero bits on, and get it straight into the game and into the Manufacturer Series. It'd be absolutely fantastic to have. Once again, it's a front-engined, rear-wheel drive car, very easy to balance. Is it one that you want to see in the game?
Number 2.
Bentley comes in at number 2, and it's primarily this high up for one reason only: the Bentley Continental GT3 car. One of the most iconic cars in GT3 racing. It's raced throughout the entire globe, and when you see it on circuit, it just looks amazing. You actually think, how can this car even race? It looks good, and I just want to see it in Gran Turismo. I think it'll look amazing in the Group 3 category. Now, it's not number 1 Bentley for one reason only, and that's the Group 4 car. This was very tricky for me to work out, because Bentley doesn't have a wide range of cars. So the one car that I could identify really is, again, a Continental, but it's the GT3R. Now, rather than adding anything to this car, let's just turn the GT3R into a Group 4 car and call it some kind of Group 4 Vision Gran Turismo car. It's got a lot less aero than the Group 3 car. It still makes sense. And then that would be the Group 4 car. So 2 front-engined rear-wheel drive cars for Bentley that could go into the manufacturer series. As I say, I want to see that Continental GT3 in Gran Turismo at some point. Would you? Let me know in the comments. But who is number 1?
Number 1.
It's Lotus, a brand that went missing from the reveal event of GT Sport to the official release. We've no idea where Lotus went, but they're in at number 1. So you're probably going, Tidge, well, what cars can they bring to these classes? Why are they number 1? Well, let me put it to you this way. Lotus have 2 potential cars that could go in these classes. In Group 3, we have the Exige GT3 prototype. This was a GT3 car that could have been in the championship. A very nice looking car, lots of arrows. It'd be very light as well, of course. It'd be an interesting car to have in there, I would think. Obviously, mid-engined rear-wheel drive car. In Group 4, of course, we have the Evora GT4. Now, that's been a bit more successful, that car, and has been racing in many championships around the globe, especially in the British GT, of course. Lotus Evora GT4 would be the Group 4 car. Again, an MR car as well. Now, what do you think of that number 1 choice? Lotus being number 1. I personally like it because it's 2 different cars in the class. Another MR car. We have lots of FR cars in there. Let's get another MR car in. Get Lotus in there. That's my opinion. What is your opinion? What are your top 5 manufacturers that you would like to see in the manufacturer series? Some honourable mentions, of course, are as follows. KTM with their Crossbow GT4. Had no idea for a Group 3 car. We, of course, have the Bugatti Veyron Group 4 car already in the game. I wasn't sure about a Chiron. Who knows? Cadillac, they have the ATS-VR GT3 car. That's a real car. That'd be nice to see in the game. Marcos with the Mantis GT3. That was an interesting choice that came up when I was looking and researching this. Skoda with a Fabia GT4 using some form of the rally car, bringing that in. Group 3 car, I had no idea, which is why that didn't make the list. And then 2 manufacturers that are quite unique that I'd like to see just because they're quite inherently among us in society, if that makes any sense. And that's Vauxhall, and they could have a VX220 GT3 car and a VX-R8 GTS Group 4 car. And then the final one that gets an honourable mention is one that I think a few of you might like. Volvo. Now, I was thinking around this sort of car, and I was thinking either the S60 or S90, a GT3 car in that aspect, and then in terms of the Group 4 car, going full British touring car style with a V60 or a V90. How good would that be? Bringing an estate into that Group 4 category. But there are some honourable mentions. Obviously, there's more manufacturers out there that you might want to look at. I had a list of about 30 out there that I did the research for. I hope you've enjoyed this interesting top 5 video, and I'll see you again in a video very soon.